Hey, welcome to Otherwise You Well. My name is Nina Hastie. Otherwise You Well is a journey of discovery, comics approach to wellness. This is not a mental health podcast. This is my approach to wellness. I'm obsessed with wellness. This is a journey of trying to figure out the answer one question. It's one question. How do you know how you are if you don't know who you are? Like, what's the metric? What's the litmus test? What's the BMI of mental health? It's self-awareness, right? And I feel like people don't really spend enough time getting to know themselves, because if you don't know what's going on with you, where do you even start? So I want to show people what a conversation of self-discovery can look like. I've invited some of my phenomenal friends, interesting people I think you're going to like, people I think that make impact on society, and do cool shit. And I have invited Adam Byars. He's the CEO of Grid Worldwide, which is an advertising agency. They do really cool stuff. They turn 20 next year. And he can tell you a little bit more about their company. What we're going to do is get to know Adam so you can see what a conversation between two people looks like about self-discovery. It doesn't have to feel heavy. It doesn't have to feel intense. You don't have to go to therapy and talk about how your parents abandoned you just to get to know yourself. It can be a lot easier than that. And this is the cheat code. So good morning, Adam Byars.
Morning.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Can we hear Adam? We can hear Adam. Okay. Adam has a very soft and gentle approach. I think this is my favorite thing about you, is you deal with so much stress and so many people and so much intensity, and you're just cool as a cucumber.
Look, I think it looks like that. It's the Swan effect. I perfected that in my life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Look. I mean, it's a crazy world. But I guess it's the world you choose and the one you accept and the one you've created for yourself. I think you have to be accountable for that. So this is my world.
Yeah. I like that. Adam, we're going to talk a little bit. We don't want to talk about the corporate stuff. I mean, yes, you're a boss, you're a CEO.
No marketing, no bullshit.
No advertising. You do all of that. No. Like right now, nobody cares about that. We just want to talk about Adam, who you are, what you believe in, what your purpose is, but we'll get to all of that stuff a little bit later. Let's do something fun, okay? So this is my little logo. I mean, I know you're an advertising guy. I don't know, maybe you guys can fix it, but that's just somebody lying on a couch. But what we're gonna do now is something called the Wheel of Feels, okay? And on the Wheel of Feels, we're gonna choose a personality test to see, would you wanna press that button? So press it, okay? Yes, there we go. All right, it is now going to spin, and we're going to see what kind of personality test we're going to do with you.
It's daunting.
Ooh.
I can see it go.
Okay, this is the pattern. Okay, so the pattern is astrology.
Astrology.
What's your feeling on astrology? Can you cope?
I can't. Well, astrology is the stars and
the stars and stuff. I mean, listen. What I like about this is none of this is science. Okay.
And intuition. It's all your gut.
Yeah. So we're just going with the flow. I mean, it could have been, what kind of Disney princess are you? But
I had an answer for that.
Which Disney princess do you think you are?
My daughter, my son told me Frozen. Elsa.
Oh yeah. Oh really?
Yeah.
What's the song? What's the main song?
It is flip, man.
What's the Frozen song, Matt?
Let it go, let it go.
Yeah. I know the song, and I've never watched Frozen.
Yeah. Listen, I'm super excited. Moana 2 is coming out.
Oh, really? Okay.
I'm super excited for that.
Okay, great.
So it could have been The Rock. But
right.
He's not a princess.
Right.
You know, so yeah.
Anyway. Should we do I think let's should we do it again and see if it lands on the princess? Let's try. Can we do one more Wheel of Feels? Because I don't know, Adam is not feeling the astrology thing. It's freaking him out. Far. Okay, cool.
We'll do it like this, guys. Give it odds.
Okay, we're gonna give it odds. Give it odds. Yeah.
Going to go right in the opposite direction.
Yeah, we'll see. All right, the Wheel of Feels. Okay, that's great. Okay, cool. All right, Adam, let's see.
if we don't, that was
Okay, no, all right.
Never meant to be.
No. That's like what kind of cute Japanese girl are you? But I think I think we should stick.
Yeah.
We should just stick with the pattern. All right.
We
So
could go with the pattern.
we can
I'm
go with
in.
the
I'm in
pattern.
design. I'm in branding, so
Okay.
I can work with that.
okay. So the
Yeah.
pattern is an astrology app. So as soon as like a girl asks a guy what time they were born, red flag.
Wow.
I am the red flag girl in this situation. I'm constantly
Okay.
asking people.
Ask him what time he is born.
Yeah.
As in what time in the day.
Yeah. Like, do you know when you were born?
I know the day I was born. I don't know the
Okay.
time.
Well, let's see. See, you can
Like
tell.
48 long years. I don't know if I remember.
48?
48.
No
48.
ways. How are you so okay? Also, I have a question. So Adam is now like a businessman. You used to be a model, right?
Yeah,
Yeah?
failed model.
A
though.
failed model?
Failed model.
I don't know.
It's
That
part
face.
of my journey. It's part
Really?
of my journey. Yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you really live in this? Were you flatmates with Leonardo DiCaprio?
I wasn't flatmates
Okay.
with him. I met him. He was in the same agency as he had just finished Titanic.
Yeah.
And there's an agency called Traffic in Barcelona.
Okay.
And then he was there shooting. It was a jeans campaign, and he was booked through our agency. So
Oh, that's
we used
cool.
to see him.
We used
quite
to
a
hang
bit.
out with him.
There were a few stars. Who's the lady from Fifth Element?
Mira
No.
Herzenegova.
Yes, yes. Yeah, there were a few.
Elizabeth-
Yeah.
She's Eastern European. My
Yes,
people. My
yes.
people.
I
Yeah.
was at the time when they were still booking like movie stars for big campaigns and all
Fair
that.
enough.
Yeah.
Mila Jovovich.
Yeah,
you know
that's
that. So that's my grandmother's maiden name was Jovanovic. Jovovich is definitely Serbian. It's called the pattern, and it requires. Okay, I've got it.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we're in. Okay, so what year were you born?
76.
76.
Yeah.
That's
you
a
still
good
got it,
year.
eh? They still go on the wheel of
Oh yeah, this will.
time.
So Adam. Okay, I'm not gonna share this with the public, so we're gonna skip past this. In what date? What date were you?
23rd.
23rd
23rd
of
of September.
September. 23rd of September 1976. Okay, and then you don't know the time of birth.
No.
Done. Place of birth.
Bulawayo.
Bulawayo.
Yeah, in Zimbabwe.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So you were born in Bulawayo.
Mm.
When did your family come here?
82. So my
82.
dad was a colonel of the Air Force, and he was Ian Smith's right-hand man. So when Mugabe took over, there's a big story there. It's a backstory.
Tell. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Look, I mean, I was born, so I think we came 82. That was the time there was a change in government when I moved from Rhodesia, the Wenwes to Zim. And then we had to leave quite quickly.
Hectic.
So we left through the back gates of the country into the front, into the borders of South Africa. But South Africa has adopted me as its own, so I'm African. You know.
Right.
I've lived here ever since. My dad's never been back. He was invited when Mugabe passed on, but yeah, he hasn't. I've only been back once. Yeah,
Really?
Zimbabwe's great. I remember it like yesterday. Beautiful country, beautiful people, very gentle, very different to South Africans. But yeah, it's a beautiful part of the world. I do miss it.
When you guys came here, where did you settle?
So my dad, he spent his whole life in the Air Force. He was the colonel of the Air Force. The base was blown up. and
Which
he-
base was he at?
The Air Force, it was Bulawayo's base. The Air
Oh,
Force.
so he didn't come and join
Yeah.
here?
No. He actually went into corporate. He had enough contacts and he went into corporate. So we were here in Johannesburg for 2 years. We lived in Fourways, where Fourways, Lone Hill was literally a lone hill.
Right.
There was nothing. And where the shopping mall is, that was all just farmlands, I remember. Grosvenor Drive, the highway, it was a dust road.
Really?
Let's take a dust road to school, went to Browndale. Be here for 2 years, and then we relocated to Port Elizabeth, and I grew up in PE. So I
Really?
finished school, yeah.
Port Elizabeth.
Mm.
There's a Max Normal lyric where he goes, "I'm bored of visitors from Port Elizabeth."
PE was great. It was a great place to grow up. Grew up by the sea. Yeah, like a good wholesome family life, you know.
Did you surf?
Yeah, we did. Life saving was a big part of our life.
Really?
I went to Pearson, which was one of the closest schools to the beach. So physics periods, some of them where you'd go to the beach.
Really?
Yeah, it was great life. I mean, I don't go back to PE too often, not for any bad reasons. My family, both my brothers are overseas. My parents are here in just outside Pretoria. I took my kids this year for the first time. Not much has changed. PE's good old PE.
Yeah.
Took him past
There's
our
like
house.
one hotel in PE.
Yeah.
Whenever I do a gig, I'm like, as long as I get the sea facing view and not the
Yeah.
one that looks onto the gravel. Have they put you in the gravel rooms?
Yeah, often. But yeah, like it was a good life. I mean, like, you know, like for me, the most important thing was just having a really loving family. That was a big part of who I've become. And you know, there wasn't much wealth. There was just a loads of love and support and comfort. And like for me, it was a big thing.
It seems like that's translated into how you've approached your family life and what you've created, because it seems to be quite important to you.
Look, you know, I was a late dad. I had my daughter when I was 40, so she's obviously 8 now. My son came 9 months after, so they're 18 months apart. But I always wanted a daughter. It was a big thing. I wanted a baby sister. But having a daughter was a big thing for me as a man, especially a bachelor who traveled and who had modeled. And I've lived many different lives, and it got me to a point where I'd been at Grid for many years. I was already CEO of Grid. And, you know, at one point we were doing 20, 30 international trips just alone, myself, a year. When we rebranded Qatar, and we were doing a lot of stuff in New York and all over Europe. So when I had my daughter at 40, it was a real slam dunk. It was like reality check of notes. It took me about 9 months to comprehend that I was a dad. At least 9 months.
How long had you been married prior to you guys deciding?
Not long. I met my wife Nazli in 2012. Like that was instant. That moment of, you know, when you know, you know.
This is your person.
I'd never known that, and I now felt it, and it became a reality. And I think we were married 3 years after. But we didn't have a traditional wedding because I was between countries at the time. We were like deep into getting Qatar ready for the 2020 World Cup. So I was leaving every week. We managed to fit in a dinner one evening, but it didn't go as planned. It's probably like one of my biggest regrets in my life.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
How so?
Yeah. Listen, like, you know, like everyone says you're a great spokesman and you can carry yourself, but I guess we all have that moment where it all breaks down. And that was it. Happened to be the wrong. But, you know, I'll never forget I woke up the next morning and my dad, he calls me Damski. He's like, listen, Dams, like that was a fucking disaster. I'm not going to lie, from father to son. But he said, there's nothing you can do. You can't apologize. Your actions from that moment on, the man you become, my wife was pregnant, the father you become has to just be what you've become about, and not just, you know, your mouth and your words. Like you have to live it now, and that's the only way that you're going to make amends for a disastrous wedding. Yeah. So I think the thing is that, you know, you see people and you think it's all the easy and it looks easy and a beautiful life. I think the most successful people are the ones that have broken through such difficult moments. Like you only know how low. You only know how high is when you know how low the lows are.
Right.
Like even when I was modeling, there was a friend with me. I met him there, South African, been friends for many years. And at times we had a cup of coffee, as that's all we could afford for the day. So it was half a cup in the morning, half a cup in the afternoon.
Wild.
We were aspiring models.
Where were you based at that time?
I was in Barcelona.
Okay.
I was just 2 centimeters short. And
Really?
I like the height was a big thing. And I just didn't have the confidence for it. I was not a camera guy. I'd never done it. The lifestyle was crazy. But, you know, I wish I had my confidence today when I was 21, when I was doing it. I think it would have been a different outcome. But it wasn't. It was just a radical journey. It was tough. I went to many countries. Many castings in a week, 60, 70 castings. If you got 1 or 2 jobs, you were doing well. And every country you go to, you go there on the back foot because they've already paid your flights, they've already paid your accommodation. So before you make any money, you got to make that back for them.
Oh, so it's kind of like the
Yeah,
record
and
label
and
setup.
if you're not making that back for them, they're pimping you out to big nightclubs in Milan. There's a big nightclub called Hollywood. I think it's still going. Put those people by a table, and all the beautiful people are there, and the club pays them, and it's just a big. I think it's a big ugly world. I think it's a really tough world. And I did it for many years. It was 5-6 years, and then when I started to get to a place, and I got a good client base, I got good agencies working with me. I came back because I'd grown up in PE, so mates and I always used to life save in the holidays, make some money. So I'd been going for 3-4 years modeling, and I said to my folks, let me just go life save with my mates in Plet. I hadn't seen them, just 1,500 Rand for the week. But it was just nice time to see the mates. Cave was still open. Remember the cave in Plet? We all have a cave story. And on my last night, it was like 5-6 in the morning. We're young, we were resilient. I was flying out that afternoon, back to the Middle East. And you know where Cornutis is? You go down, Cornutis is on the right.
Right, yeah.
And you go down the hill, there's a sharp
yes.
right. You look over B Canal.
Right.
I fell out of the car in the passenger door. It was destiny. Literally, what fucking door hinge breaks? It was like,
wild.
I fell out the car. Didn't break a bone, but I was twisted like a cook's sister. And that took 7-8 months to fix and figure out. But by that time, I hit my face hit the ground.
Oh, no.
So the face had changed, and I did shots again. But, during that period, that was when, and that was the third thing that happened. That was the third thing that happened to me in terms of life-changing things.
Right.
But so by that time, my mind had become so programmed not to accept failure. It was like the first thing when I was 13, I had a rugby accident. I was a fly half, small. A guy hit me knee, cracked my sacrum.
Oh, wow.
It was a year, yeah.
Okay.
And then when I was 18, I'd recovered from that, and my family is a very athletic family. So my apologies.
No worries.
My brother ran for South Africa. So athletics was a big thing in our world. My mom did comrades a few times.
Your brother ran for South Africa?
Yeah, he represents South Africa as a middle distance athlete.
Okay.
He was really good. And then, so athletics was a big thing in our family. And then after the back, I never played contact sports again. I couldn't. So athletics became my thing. And I'd primed myself back end of leaving school to go run internationally. And then I went for a dentist appointment, and he found a tumor in my palate, a dentist. So that just changed, and the point I'm saying is when you think you're going to be South Africa's next fly half,
Right.
life will
Right.
kick in. Just when you think you're going to be South Africa's top athlete, life will kick in. Just when you think you're going to be an international model, don't fuck with life.
Right.
It's going to step in. And at time it feels bad and it's wrong. And I think all those moments, I had so many months to reflect on, being able to walk properly again, recovering from the tumor, and then falling out of the car. I had so many months, and my mind became more and more conditioned to knowing how to deal with these setbacks. And I programmed my mind to say, listen, okay, well, if that didn't work out, then we don't give up. What do we go to next? And it's just about knowing yourself. And the thing when I was traveling with modeling, that was the hard part, because there when you're trying to be a talent as a model or a musician or an actor or writer, whatever it is, you're the CEO, you're the MD, you're the T person, you're the marketing person, you're the finance, you're the personal coach, personal trainer. And if you got to come to terms with that, because no one's going to wake you up and say, do it.
Absolutely. Who are you accountable to? How do you even, I mean, that's one of the biggest issues with me. Well, not issues, but that's one of my most important things is and I think that's why mentorship is so important. I kind of go, well, who am I reporting to? If I don't do my work, no one's going to go, well, Nina, you haven't done the financials for this year. Or Nina, you haven't got your brand plan in place for 2025. But I've got friends who are all I had a chat with a friend of mine the other day. He's like, listen, what's your brand plan looking like for 2025? I'm like, yeah, I already did that in like Q3 of 2024. In fact, yeah, so that I could roll out Q4 and go straight into 2025, because Nina Hastie is a registered business. I have to run a company. I'm not, I've got to pay VAT. I've got to pay employees. I've got to pay a lawyer. I've got to pay an accountant. I've got to, I'm not just, I don't just tell jokes. There's a whole strategy behind this. And I think so in my life, I've got like different pillars that I prioritize in different spaces. So this year I had to focus, in the beginning of the year was fitness and health. I had to just get like my mental health right. So a lot of that was on diet, sleep, exercise, just like basics, so that I could pull myself out of like quite a dark depression that I was in. And then I shifted back into my priorities, which were career, finances, and I also put relationships on there, which were all disastrous. But I had to take the data because I just wasn't dating at all. So I didn't, I just didn't know how to do it. I still don't know how to do it. But now I go, okay, well, that doesn't work. All right, this doesn't work. Okay, this doesn't work. So the sooner you can fail and let go of that, the better. But it's in the holding on to the failure that really kind of sets you back. I could have had like 4 more sets of data if I hadn't held on to like a failed relationship for like 4 or 5 months when I knew it didn't work in month 1, but then I kind of shifted into, okay, cool, that's not important to me now. This other stuff is important. But I change it. Sometimes family is the most important. So I've got my framework for each one of these pillars in my life for the next 20 years. This is what I want to do. This is what I want to do. I just shift the priorities of, because you can't be focusing on absolutely everything. You can't be going to gym every single day and seeing your family every single day and making sure that your finances and those things all have to exist, but they might be prioritized differently. That's kind of like how I approach it. And the thing with like being a self-run business, or especially when you're in the beginning and finding mentors, because I throw myself at shit. You've seen how I operate, and I turn stuff around really quickly and I grow quickly. I've outgrown mentors. I've gone like, well, this is, I don't feel like you've got anything to teach me. Or I found some mentors have their own agenda. So when you found me in the world, I want to talk about your Tuesday mornings. When you found me in the world, I don't know how I came across your algorithm in life, but every now and again when I need some really strong advice, I can reach out to you, and it's like a very selfless approach that you have to things. I was like, the CEO of Grid took 45 minutes to have a phone call to help me unpack something. Like, that's quite I mean, the fact that you're running a company and then took time for this absolute stranger was very, it really touched me. What's like, is that your vibe?
Like there's Grid and then there's me. Like Grid is Nathan Reddy. He started the business and it's his DNA. But what has been interesting is 20 years on is that he's given the accountability for the business to no longer rely on him. It relies on a number of people, a number of fundamentals and foundations. And I think what was great about his approach to life is that he'll always remain the legacy and the DNA of Grid, but he's never remained, what's the word? He's never selfish is the word. He'll give you the shirt on his back. It's just his character and his way. He's an incredibly intelligent creative. He's not just a creative. He really understands the world of entrepreneurship and business. And I think he sought out the right people to take his business to the next level and to take his business over with him, because he's also young. He's 55, and there's no the youngest 55-year-old you'll ever meet.
Yeah, I see him at the gym, like, because I don't always train at the same gym, but when
that's his thing.
I'm there, I'm like, he is there before the meeting.
Yeah, and his consistency at a later age in his life has become his silver bullet. You know, he's super consistent and he's dedicated to certain things. And you know, he's also grown as a human being. He's been through so many ups and downs and lessons in life. So to go back to your question, for me personally, like giving of time is a gift, I believe, and I believe people gave me that gift when I was also trying to work things out. And you know, it doesn't take 1 trillion people to believe in you. It takes one person to believe in you for a door to open. And you know, if I have to look back on my 30 years, like there were 3 key people that changed my life for me, and I know exactly when the interventions were and when those moments were. So to answer your question, you know, if I feel there is something in someone, I will give of my time. As I told you that story, for the last 8 years, I've given Tuesday mornings up to meet people. A lot of people reach out to me. Some I never meet again. Some I have constant mentorship relationships, friendships with, business relationships with. And I think that is a great gift. If you can afford people that, then I'll continue to do it. It's a personal thing. So same way that we've, you know, built the business and, you know, we've built many other things. I think, you know, we don't sell great brands and we don't build great campaigns. We actually sell trust. And when people can trust you and they believe in you and there's a level of authenticity, I think that's what they come back with. You know, Grid is built, you know, we don't have long-term contracts with clients. We've got long relationships with clients, and that's been the silver bullet for us. And in our world, you know, people, they have to trust you, to believe in them, that you can solve a business problem for them with creativity. That is investment creative.
And I mean, that reflects in everything that you do. I don't know if you knew where I was at. I mean, the other night when we were at the Luries or whatever, you're like, Nina, you're an emotional wreck, and that's your beautiful thing. You know, I am a little bit more stable. You did meet me at a particularly wreckful. You met me in the midst of a storm, and what was amazing, I didn't realize that I wasn't communicating with anyone else, and that, you know, they say that self-esteem is an environmental factor, right? So you talk about the confidence of Chad. Why is Chad so confident? Well, Chad's got his whole family intact. Chad's got everyone around him saying that Chad's great. You know, Chad's class loves him. Chad's mom loves him. Chad's dad, everybody believes in Chad. But when you don't necessarily have constant reinforcement, it's that your self-esteem can take a knock. I did this thing. There was like this, I'm esoteric. I opened the astrology app. And there was a big full moon, the Aries full moon 2 months ago. It was like this fire moon, last month actually. And what I did was I wrote a list of clients, bosses, friends, lovers, industries, situations, countries, political systems, all these things that had made me feel like I couldn't be myself, or where I felt small, or where I was gaslit. You know, I've had clients gaslight me, where they go, they literally get, like, I didn't know that you could get professional gaslighting as a consultant, where people were like, this is not what you did. I'm like, this is what I did, or this is not who you are. You know, it can happen in personal relationships, and can happen in professional relationships. And my self-esteem, I just went from one gig that knocked me to another gig as a performer that knocked me to in every single sphere of my life, I had people knocking my self-esteem. And you came at a time where I needed literally one person to believe in me. I just needed one person to say, fuck, Nina, you are actually brilliant, and you've got something beautiful that on your hands here, and you just need some focus here. And, you know, just someone, you know, a literal lifesaver, because I was drowning in this thing. So I wrote all these people's names down. It was a full moon. I live in a block of flats, but it's me and like 27 old ladies. I basically live in an old age home. Yeah, it's fantastic. Sure. Yeah. There's a couple of young people that have moved in now, but it's dead quiet. So I went and sat in the garden at the bottom, the other side of the pool, and the security guard was like doing laps. And he was like, Nina, what are you doing? Yeah. But I'd taken this big bowl. I had taken this big silver bowl, and I wrote everybody's names down, and I put it in the bowl, and I lit it on fire. And I sat under the moon, and I looked at that big moonlight, and I just saw how like insignificant I am in the universe of things. I'm just part of like a star system, and I was like, all these people can fuck off. I will not, and this is my intention. Like, I will not be small for anyone again to receive their approval. I don't need people's approval, and I think that's that's your magic, is that you can give a little bit of some belief in someone else.
Look, like, I just think like like life is as you think you're always learning, but I don't think you are. I think you're going through so much that you're dealing most of the time, and that's what life is. That's what the life that we all live in. I have felt though, the older I've got, like I've started to learn things. That's why I've understood now this age comes with, or wisdoms comes with age. Like I've only really understood it now. And I said something to my wife the other day, like, sometimes, most of the time you go through friendships like seeking their acknowledgement, where you should be going through friendships where you're both giving of your time without wanting anything in return. And even friendships, like you said something about you outgrow mentors. I think you outgrow friendships as well. I think you outgrow relationships. And, it's like my generation, we grew up that we've got to stay in one job, we've got to buy a car, pay it off, and we've got to drive it until it falls apart. We've got to buy a house, pay it off, and live in it until we die. Like, fuck, man, that whole approach to life is just so archaic. It doesn't work like that. And so I'm like caught in this mindset of what I grew up with and how I was programmed to think, versus just seeking the world we live in today, where no, I don't want to buy one house and pay it off and live there for the rest of my life. I couldn't think of anything fucking worse. The world is my playing field. I don't want to drive one car, pay it off, and save money for a rainy day. Fuck, man, what happens at a rainy day? Just live your life. Just like be responsible about it. So, and friendships are the same. You outgrow them, but that's not a bad thing. You can still be connected. You still have a past. You still have a level of nostalgia, but don't feel bad because, we grew up together and we went through so much together. No.
I think that's one of the biggest things that I learned in therapy was like, you don't owe anybody a relationship off the base of like status, like that is my father, or that is even if there is a family member, this is my brother, whatever, you don't owe them a relationship. Time. We grew up together. We've been friends since grade 1. I really value friendships. I didn't know how to be friends with people. So one of my first markers when I went to therapy, because I grew up, I did a lot of solo sports. I did all the sports though, but I was like a karate champ by the time I was like, I was SA champ by the time I was 13. Came second in the world by the time I was 14. I was black belt. I went to the school for gifted children. I did go-kart racing. I did also some team sports, hockey and stuff. But between command maths, gifted center, karate, I never had time to hang out with friends. I also had very strict parents. So when I left school, I was really smart and I could do everything, but I didn't know how to be friends with people. So I went to therapy to learn how to be friends with people. And now I have such wonderfully enriching, meaningful, valuable friendships. I have to speak to you every day. I don't have to see you every day. I can see you once every 3 months, or we'll give each other a shout once in a blue moon. But the impact of literally just someone else, another human being believing in you, is literally fucking life-changing. Like it was such a small investment on, I don't know on your side, but just communicating with me and going, hey Nina, you're okay, you're good last year, and your brain is valuable, and maybe you can come and consult with us for a moment, just share your insight of culture or whatever, was such a shift in allowing me to kind of go, oh, I'm not a piece of shit after all. I've just worked with a bunch of clients that told me I was a piece of shit and that I don't know anything. And it was just, it changed gears for me. So that small investment that you make into people as a friendship, and even if that shifts into business, is invaluable, life-changing. I'm very grateful for you.
Good. Thank you. I'm very grateful for you.
Good.
I just think on the, like I think the world, like we do live in a superficial world, like that is just the reality. And I think like you have to be very clear. So like I have a bit of a general rule around, if you come to my home, we're not going to discuss religion, we're not going to discuss politics, and we're not going to discuss work. So if you're going to be friends with me, don't come to my place because you think you're going to get work from me. You're not going to get work from me. In terms of religion, I'm agnostic. I grew up in a Christian home, married into a Muslim family. My wife's agnostic, so my kids celebrate Ramadan and Eid. They celebrate Christmas and Easter, and they can, experience life in their own way. And when it comes to politics, I just think, I grew up in apartheid. I grew up in a white home. And today I have very few white friends, where my wife has a lot of white friends, and it's the weirdest thing. But it's not like that was planned. It's just that's how life goes. My kids are mixed race, so I don't see color. I don't judge it. No one's better than anyone else. I don't think because you're a CEO and, you're a great talent and you're no one, you're just all the same. At the end of the day, you go home with your own thoughts. At night, as wealthy as you can be, as successful, you go home, you go to bed. When you put your head on that pillow, it's you and your own thoughts. And I think there's so many things that can influence your thoughts. It's a scrolling on the phone, and that's
actually
where it goes fucking wrong.
So speaking of which, just before Adam came in, I asked if I could just have a screenshot of what his explore page looks like, because I'm curious as to what you are consuming, because this is the first thing that we're doing when you wake up. And for some people, I've started doing crosswords before I go to sleep and when I wake up, because I feel like crosswords are this is your explore page. Okay,
I don't know why the Jake Paul, Mike Tyson fights come up. I am quite intrigued by it because I think the thing was rigged.
Right. This is a lot of fighting. I've never seen so much fighting. I mean, I'm a big rugby fan in what the Boks have achieved. I did work with, we shot the Qatar tourism campaign with Neymar, and he's able to get himself a 54 million rand penthouse. Right.
But I think the thing for me, this Jake Paul thing's coming up, and I tell you why. It's because like the next phase for even our business 608 is content and streaming, and that's a big opportunity. So if you look at the last fight with the last big one was it was McGregor and Mayweather, and then there was another Mayweather fight where they got like earnings of 6.2 million, and these two mustered up 60 million. You got a YouTube influencer taking 40, and you got the greatest taking 20. But the thing that tells me, that's where there's a shift in economies. Like the social economy is a big economy. How do I believe in it? I was sitting in a meeting prior to this on a client, and there was a bit of a sticking point around social influences versus what I believe are cultural and creative influences.
Oh, what's the difference for you? A cultural, okay.
A culture, so if you take our business 608, I want to work with creative influences, cultural influences that actually change the narrative in our country. Hence, we work with Zakes, we work with Kind of Soul. There are many other talents that we're engaging. They're people that actually have a bigger influence because of the things that they're producing, and they're representing our country, and they're putting us on the map. Like for me, that's a big thing. Social influence, because you have a big following, and I do call it influences in the wild. Like I went to a hotel the other day, and it's overrun by influencers who are there. They're not even enjoying the moment. They're on the phone. They're seeing this world through their phone, and they're ordering the food and taking photographs and not eating it. And I'm like, fuck, like, is that how you're living? Like, I don't want I worry. My kids are 6 and 8, so that's not the world I want to bring them up in. I want to bring them up like driving and looking out the car and noticing things, smelling things and see, like, look up. So the for me, the social influence and following, and I get 1 million views and I get $600 for it from TikTok or whoever, because I've got X amount of followers. I think that is just radically absurd. I genuinely do. And then, brands will get attracted to it because of the following, where I find it's disingenuous, where brands should be playing with real cultural influences, people that are that are allowing their brands to play in culture, because a brand to show up in culture is not that easy anymore. Like there's, they brands were the ones influencing culture. I don't think they have that high ground anymore. I really don't. So, when people are doing events that are attracting 10,000 people, 5,000 people, people are going there for a moment. They're going there for a level of joy, for a level of community, for a level of connection, and you're enjoying something that someone has taken hours and hours to curate, practice, perform, and showcase, rather than, hey, I'm in a hotel that I didn't pay for, I'm ordered food that they've probably promised me, and I can post about it and get followers. I think it's gonna bottom out. It's all disingenuous for me. I genuinely is.
Yeah, I mean, it's basically just like, mini walking advertising agencies that are all kind of doing the same. It's the Canva of, like, well, you know what I mean? It's just it's template. Look, we don't have much time left. I'm going to ask you for one sentence to leave us with.
Yeah. One sentence. Back yourself.
Back yourself.
Yeah. Don't ask for anyone else to back you, because they're not going to. Back yourself. You go to bed with your thoughts at night. Make sure you know what you want those thoughts to be, and how you're what the guardrails are for those thoughts. Don't chase success, because that is chasing the dragon. Chase real purpose. And no one's going to back you more than you can back yourself. And I think it's the moment when you don't back yourself that people see through that. And you it's not even a confidence thing. Like, there's confidence and then there's confidence. Like, there's confidence in being a grounded human being, and you can look people in the eye when you talk to them. You can greet them. You can make time for them. Who are the people you want to spend time with, and who those that you'll just engage. Like, that is all about what you want to be, and what you have programmed your thoughts, and how that then manifests, and how you carry yourself. So for me, back yourself in everything, whether you're an entrepreneur, whether you're in the corporate world, whether you're in a startup, whether you're a talent trying to make it or you have made it. Just continue to back yourself, and know your place, that you can sit at any table, and you can sit there with confidence and sell what it is that you feel the world would want.
I love that. Thank you, Adam.
Cool.
Thank you for joining us here. It's a bite size. I'm sure that you guys will probably want to have more conversations and hear from Adam, and maybe we'll have him later in the season. What a joy. So much wisdom. Thank you. Nice to know a little bit more about you. Sometimes it's nice to hear how, where someone comes from, what makes them tick, how do they handle dynamics. And thank you for being so open and sharing that with us.
Thank you for having me.
Otherwise, well.